Bowman live. Tonight, I'm talking about the importance of Black history. Pardon me, I'm writing something down, ladies and gentlemen. And the contributions of our ancestors, the importance of Black history, and the contributions of our ancestors. This is important, and I'll tell you the reason why. Every culture, every ethnic origin, and every group of people, they're proud of their history. They're proud of their culture. They're proud of the contributions that their ancestors and descendants have made to preserving the importance of their lifestyle, their origin, their history. And as they should. There's nothing wrong with that. In a time, especially in America, when there is an all-out affront when it comes to the historical importance and preservation of Black people's history and cultural and contributions of our ancestors, it's the spirit of anti-Blackness in the world. So what I'm talking about tonight, this is part one. Oh, some of you are not going to like it, but it really doesn't matter with me because I'm going to talk about it anyway. Why is it that people seem to have a problem anytime we talk about the history of our people? Why do people have a problem when we want to identify with the ancestral aspect of our lives? Everyone has a beginning, but no one wants to recognize the beginning of our history. We don't need a proclamation. We don't need an executive order. We don't need others to acknowledge who we are. We have to do it ourselves. One of the greatest things that my people can ever do, learn your history. Learn who you are. Learn about the contributions that your ancestors have made within this nation. And don't allow anyone to tell you that we don't matter. What do you think libraries are for? Bookstores are for. And even bookstores that aren't what people consider to be major bookstores, you can go into a lot of the antique bookstores and you can find all types of good information about you and discover who you are. Do you know who you are? Do you know your ancestral heritage? And I'm not talking about ancestry.com either. I'm talking about real history. Do you know where our ancestors came from? Do you know their places of origin? Do you know about their faith? Do you know about their spirituality? Do you know about their culture? Do you know about their heritage? Do you not understand that no people upon the face of the earth could have endured what Black people endured around the world and survived? None. So when individuals are telling me, Tyrone, they are doing away with this and doing away with that, I really don't care. Because you can't stop me from learning. You can't stop me from expanding the consciousness of my mind. No one can stop me from gathering and absorbing information about my people. I don't care what the news media propagates when it comes to us. Within their own communities, they have crime. Within their own communities, they have murders and rapes and molestation. Within their own communities, they have deviants and individuals who do some despicable things. That's in every culture. So we're not going to try to blanket the globe with the spirit of anti-Blackness and try to make it seem like we are not important. Some of the greatest inventors, writers, prolific thinkers, orators have been Black people. Some of the greatest inventions that this world has ever known has come through the minds of those who were enslaved. Who do you think invented the cotton gin? It wasn't Eli Whitney. It was his slave who invented it because he was the one out there in those cotton fields from sunup to sundown. He was the one dealing with the snakes and the rodents and the unpleasantries of being whipped and harassed. Of course, Eli, the master, stole his invention and took the credit for it and made all the money and gave the slave nothing. See, that is the reason why I don't pay attention to what schools are teaching in a negative a forum about us as a people. I pay them no mind. I do my own research. I do my own thinking. I do my own writing. So tonight, this is part one, and I'm telling you, I don't need a month to validate me. You can take Black History Month. It's not going to stop us from celebrating. It's not going to stop us from learning. It's not going to stop us from growing. Someone asked me today, aren't you upset that a federal executive order was given to remove all the Black artifacts out of Independence Mall in Philadelphia? I said I could care less. What am I going to be upset about? Over what? I've seen those paintings down there, and I've read the inscriptions trying to make it look like the slaves were so complicit, docile, and happy to be a part of an institution that demeaned, destroyed, dehumanized, belittled them. Don't you know that when the Constitution of the United States was written and when the Declaration of Independence was written, it didn't even consider us 3/4 of a human being? That is a stipulated fact, whether people like it or not. It doesn't matter. You can't change history, or you can try to rewrite it. You can try to pretend that it doesn't exist. You can try to blank it out of your mind because the consciousness of it reigns in the minds of those who are the inheritors from the wealth that their ancestors gained and made. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying that all white folk are terrible. No, just like all Black people are not good. I know some terrible Black folk. I know some of my people who do some horrible, despicable, terrible things to each other. All day, every day. Demean, berate, tear down. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm dealing with the historical preservation. Take the time to learn. Have you ever watched some of the stereotypical movies from Hollywood that they used to make back in the day with the Nicholas brothers and Bill Bojangles Robinson? They were some dancing, performing individuals. Who do you think taught Fred Astaire? Who do you think taught Shirley Temple? Bill Robinson was a great performer and singer on the Chitlin circuit way before he came to Hollywood. And people told him, Bill, don't go to Hollywood. All they're going to do is demean you, belittle you, and put you in subservient roles. And that's just what they did when he went to Hollywood. They demeaned him. They belittled him. They put him in subservient roles where he was just tap dancing and singing. Just like I hate that show called Amos and Andy, white folk in blackface. Yeah, I said it. White people in blackface mimicking and talking and acting like us. That's why people want our heritage, they want our culture, they want our style, but they don't want to live our experiences. So you just can't have the culture and the style and the lingo. And there have been many, many, many good white people who did great things in terms of abolition work to help people repudiate the stain of slavery. And let me teach you this tonight. Don't allow, thank you for the compliment. Don't let anyone try to belittle you and your mind. You have the power to expand your mind. You have the power to write, to research, to think for yourself. No one can take that from you. No one can stop you from learning. No one can stop you from growing. No one can stop you from expanding the consciousness of your mind. Nobody can stop you from succeeding but you. Let people talk. That's what they do. They talk about things that they don't know, and they talk about what they don't know, they tell it all, and what they think they know, they don't know it, but they tell it anyway. So let them say and think what they want. Now, speaking of great writers, I got a ton of books over here, so from time to time you're going to see me lean over and pull some. Toni Morrison. I watched the documentary on Netflix behind Beloved, a novel by this great Pulitzer Prize winner. You need to read it for yourself. She came along during the time when they said, "You're too black, you don't speak well enough, you can't make it, you can't be a writer." Suppose she would have allowed that stuff to idyllically live in the membranes of her brain and of her mind, telling her what she could not do. Beloved is about the beauty of being black and loving yourself and appreciating who you are. You got to appreciate yourself. I've read the history of the Italians. I've read about the history of the Jews. I've read about the history of the Irish. I've read about the history of the Germans. I've read about Mexicana history. I am well adversed in the historiology of other people. I've read about the history of Mussolini. I've read about the history of Stalin. I've read about the history of Hitler. And do you know what I've discovered? Each one of them highly esteemed themselves even when they were nothing. In their own minds, they believed in the ideology of self-promotion. No one is going to uplift you if you don't uplift yourself. So why is Black history important? Because it is a foundation that one can build his or her life upon. You must build your life upon a solid, unquestionable foundation. And along the way, that foundation will include a lot of people who will help you to build even a bigger foundation. There's nothing wrong with people loving their heritage and loving their race. What is wrong is when you think your race and your heritage is the predominant race over everything, everyone, and everybody. That's where the problem comes in at. There's a problem when you try to erase the history of a people in a nation that went and got them and brought them over here to do the hard, arduous, back-breaking work and didn't get paid for it. I read the full proclamation about the Emancipation Proclamation. Yeah, set them free, but it didn't give them a damn thing. They had no money, no homes, no jobs, nothing. Okay, you're free after hundreds of years. Now what? Where do you think the word sharecropping came from? They had to go back to those plantations and agree to work those plantations for a profit. Sharecropping. Because you're supposed to be able to share in the profits of the harvest when it comes in. And you get to live in those same slave shacks. That's why a lot of folk don't like Roots. The adaptation by the late writer Alex Haley. Of course they don't like it. Because it's telling a story. Now, I'm going to tell you something that may upset a lot of you, but truth is truth. As I told you, I stand for what is right on this channel. Alex Haley was sued greatly for plagiarism. Yes, he was. He was sued during his time because half of the Book of Roots, he stole it from a white man. It's the truth. It was a white man who wrote the majority of the history that Alex Haley used in the Roots saga. And he had to admit it in open court. And he got sued greatly for it. You can't take someone else's word or work and use it as your own and don't give them credit for it. It's called plagiarism. If you're going to use someone else's words, thoughts, ideas, conceptions, give them the credit that is due them. There's academic plagiarism that people use all the time, taking someone else's uh, academic work and claiming it as their own and not citing the proper sources that it came from. You can't do that. We have enough history of our own that we don't have to plagiarize anything from anyone or anybody. We can think, we can act, we can work, and don't allow them to just keep telling you about these same people and no more. People don't know who really founded Chicago. Go and look up the history of it. Tyrone Bowman Live. I'll be right back. Are you listening to me? I mean this. I'm not playing. I got about 10 minutes because I got to do a radio broadcast. It's time for us to do our own work. It's time for us to be researchers. Don't depend upon the bigots and the racists because they're too busy trying to erase culture, erase history, rewrite the narrative, and pretend like it never happened. Are you out of your right mind? It doesn't go like that. See this book right here, Georgie Woods, I'm Only a Man? This is about one of Philadelphia's most famous disc jockeys, promoters, television talk show hosts, and activists. He was my mentor for radio. When I graduated from the American Academy of Broadcasting, he was the man that gave me my first job as an intern. And the reason why most people don't know about Georgie Woods because they associated him with a bag of potato chips. Oh no, my brothers and sisters, we're not going to relegate Georgie Woods just to a bag of potato chips. That's disingenuous to his history, to his work. Many people who are politicians and enjoying a good life in Philadelphia hadn't been for Georgie Woods and others breaking down those systemic barriers of racism and Jim Crowism and hatred. They wouldn't even be doctors and lawyers and professors and television anchors and etc. They wouldn't have those cushy jobs today if it hadn't been for men like him. Let me see if I can find a good picture of George. There's so many photos in here. This man knew everyone and everybody. Let me tell you a story about Georgie Woods. It's a true story. Remember Dick Clark in American Bandstand? Well, Georgie Woods used to have a show in Philadelphia on the TV called WPHL Channel 17. And it was a dance show. He was the only black person at that time that had one. And they decided that they wanted to create a white version of what Georgie Woods was doing. So what did they do? They took George's show and gave it to Dick Clark and renamed it American Bandstand. And next thing you know, black folks stopped coming because they changed the whole format. And that's what they like to do. Take your creativity, take your ingenuity, take your discoveries, take what you know, and try to claim it as their own. Now, here's a photo with Georgie Woods and singer Jackie Wilson as they're holding up their honorary NAACP awards backstage at the Uptown in Philadelphia. I think that's a nice photo. And let that stay there for a minute. This video probably won't get a whole lot of likes and it probably won't get spun around the world. I don't care. I'm still going to talk my talk anyway. Why? Because there's a generation that's coming behind us and they need to have some self-pride, self-respect. They need to know that people came before them and paid the price for them just to sit around and destroy their lives. How come all the decent young men and women who are out there doing the great things every day, nobody's really talking about them? All right, I got to find this photo of Georgie Woods here, and I know it's in here. This book right here, if you don't have it, get a copy of it. Georgie Woods, I'm Only a Man. And you'll be glad that you did. All right, give me 1 second here. Hey, Georgie Woods being arrested during the civil rights movement. Yes. It's there. It's being preserved. Even though he's long gone, I will still talk about him. See, this is the kind of stuff they don't want you to remember. This happened in Philadelphia. See this? Look at it. This is real. They try to hide this history, but you can't hide it. I'm going to leave you with these words. What you think about yourself is more important than what others think about you. Repeat that one more time. What you think about yourself is more important than what others think about you. Now, on tomorrow's program, I'm going to go deep into this because I got a lot to talk about. After I do the global news segment tomorrow, I'm dealing with our history, our culture, our faith, our heritage, our self-economic empowerment, our education, our innovative, creative thinking minds. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the importance of our ancestors and the plight that they endured, the sufferings that they endured, the heartache and the pain, the rebuke and the scorn that they endured. How Black women had to put up with unpleasant things just to put food on the table at the unmerciful hands of dirty, lustful people they worked for. Oh, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about how our ancestors, many of them died. They were broken. They wanted a better life for their children. So don't tell me to forget about what my people went through. The day that other people forget about all the suffrage and the heartache and pain that they went through, then I'll stop talking about what Black people went through. Because as long as they continue to talk about it, I'm going to continue to talk about us as the people. Never surrender, never quit.